Hi everyone, my name is Claire.
And I'm Alisa.
We're here today to offer some guided creative movement with you all. Welcome back for those who were with us last week, and a big welcome to those who are new today. This is pre-recorded, so we're not here live with you, but we'll be back next week in person, so to speak, to dance with you all.
That's right. We're really excited to do a little movement today. So just to give you a bit of an idea of what we'll be doing today, it'll involve some stretching, a little bit of grounding breath work, a little bit of yoga influenced movement, and just kind of moving to the music and having fun. And we're going to be providing a large range of different options. So just choose whatever feels good for you. And I'm going to pass it back to Claire so she can tell you a little bit about herself, and then I'll tell you about myself.
Great. So I'm practicing out of the unceded territory of the Kanien'kehá:ka Nation in Tiohtià:ke, Montreal. My background is in contemporary dance and psychology, and Alisa and I have been working together for 3 years in this movement approach that we call tactile attunement, which focuses on offering creative and approachable, accessible movement for anyone and everyone. So consent, choice, accessibility, creativity, mindfulness, these are all components of our movement approach, and we're really happy to be able to bring it here today with you all. What else do I have to say about myself? I think that's pretty much it. I did want to just mention that my connection to Make My Way Lands is through family that I have in Kujuktuk. So I have some family, like some siblings out there, and it's close to home to me. I feel I've lived in Halifax myself for about a year as well, and I'm really excited to get to be working with the community in the Anakinis region.
Wonderful. Yeah, so my background is also in dance and theater as well. I grew up doing ballet and later trained in contemporary dance, and that's where I met Claire when we were both studying at Concord University in Montreal, Tiohtià:ke. And I also have connections to the Antigonish region, Mi'kma'ki land. I have family living in Kujuktuk as well, Halifax, and in the New Brunswick area as well. And I'm also looking to move there soon. So yeah, we're really big fans of that area. But actually, I'm going to be zooming in from London, England today. My partner's British, so I've been living here for the past year. Yeah, and we're really excited to do some movement with you. And while I'm in London, I'm doing some training to get my yoga teacher certification. So that's where some of the yoga influenced movement will be coming today. And with that, I think we're ready to get started.
Yeah.
So just going to take a minute to get grounded. So Claire and I are starting seated on our chairs. Feel free to join us seated on your chair or the couch or the floor, whatever surface is good for you. If possible, with your feet planted on the floor and a vertical extended spine. Eyes closed if that's comfortable. And we're just going to take a moment to sink inward, check in with how we're feeling today in this moment. Taking a minute to notice where your breath is in your body, whether you feel any movement in your chest or your abdomen, your back, your shoulders. Noticing if there isn't any movement, which is also just fine. Noticing any areas of tension. Breathing into those areas and sighing outwards if that feels comfortable for you. And we're just going to do a quick body scan Noticing any sensations along the head, the face, the neck, the shoulders, down along each arm, into the hands. Noticing any sensations in the chest or the torso. Following that all the way down to the pelvic area, your seat. Noticing the chair holding you. Noticing the sensations down along each leg. And your feet rooting into the ground, connecting to the earth beneath. Breathing in and drawing the energy up from the earth and out, releasing upward. And just blinking your eyes open when you feel ready. I'm going to take my arms and reach upwards. If this isn't accessible to you, Claire's going to lead some other movements with the arms by the side. So breathing in, reaching upwards, and out, arms going back down. I'm going to do this a few times. I'm breathing in through my nose and out through my mouth. You can breathe whatever way is comfortable for you. I'm looking upwards as I breathe in and downwards as I breathe out, noticing any movement along the spine. And as you can see, totally possible to do this with just a little bit of spinal and head movement. All right, and I'm gonna let that go. I'm gonna pass things over to Claire.
Great, thanks, Alisa. Wonderful. I'm going to guide some gentle stretching and waking up in the body through the use of tapping just along my body. If that doesn't feel comfortable to you, I would invite you to either do some more gentle touch massage or to do a non-touch option, which is just stretching out each area of the body. Alisa will be showing some of these alternative options for you. So to begin, I'm going to rub my hands together and just bring a little bit of energy into them. I'm going to do a little face wash of energy. Just feeling the release of tension in the face, the jaw. I'm going to move this down into my neck. And then I'm going to take the tips of my fingers. I'm going to use them to tap along the top of my head, if this feels comfortable, or also just using gentle touch. And Alisa is showing some great options of just turning the neck to get some rotations in the head area. I'm going to bring this down into my collarbone here. I'm just going to do some gentle tapping, touching, or non-touch stretching. You're welcome to use one hand at a time or to use both. This just helps to wake up awareness in these body parts. So I'm going to bring some over my shoulder joint. It can also feel really good to just rub around the shoulder joint. I'm going to squeeze this down my arm all the way out my fingertips. Whereas a great option is to do some stretching and some leaning that Alisa is showing. My other arm, I'm going to use some tapping around my shoulder and also do some rubbing. And this time I'm choosing to tap down my arm, but you're welcome to do the squeezing option I showed before. So just get some awareness in the arms and the shoulders. And then coming back, I'm going to move the tips of my fingers down my sternum to my rib cage. I'm just going to use my hands, the palms of my hands, to tap along the front and then the back of my rib cage. An alternative is some forward rolls that Alisa is showing, just contracting and expansion of the spine and the torso. I'm going to move this down to the sides of my hips. I'm going to do one leg. Let me just readjust for you. So I've got one leg, I've got my cat here helping me out. So I'm going to go down one leg. If you'd like to keep your leg on the ground, you're welcome to, and to just come along down as far as is comfortable for you. If it feels good to lift your leg up, I like to cross it over. And then Alisa's got some great options of ways to just bring awareness to the legs without touch. I'm going to do the other side. just tapping along my leg, coming around the knee joint, being very gentle around the knee joint. Don't want to tap too hard there. You can rub down or tap down along the calf and the shins, and then out the feet. Wonderful. And I'm going to plant my feet back on the ground. That feels accessible for you. And Alisa is going to guide us through some more stretching.
Great. So I'm going to come to a standing position. Actually, before I stand, I'm going to just come to the front of my chair and just do a little bit of rocking, leaning forward and back, feeling the weight going into my feet and my pelvis tilting forward and backward, just to kind of warm up the hips a bit. And feeling the feet rooting into the ground. You can do an out breath as you lean forward and in as you come up. Great. And you can do this with a straight spine if that's more accessible to you, or you can roll it a bit, letting your head go. And then I'm gonna come up to standing slowly. You can use your arms to help you up if that's accessible to you. Claire's gonna continue to sit while I do some standing options. Let's take another stretch, going upwards, breathing in and out. I'm gonna bend my knees when I'm down here and bounce a bit. And breathe in and out, bending the knees. Once more. And this time I'm going to take another little side stretch, just reaching upwards with one arm and slightly to the side. You can have your head looking towards the floor or forward or up towards the sky. And I'm going to rotate my arm as I lean sideways here. This can also be done totally upright if that feels better for you. Okay, and then we're going to do the other side. Reaching upwards with the arm. If it feels better to have it a bit forward, that's totally fine. And pushing through that same foot as the arm that's raised. You're just going to reach down through the foot and up through the arm. Make sure you're still breathing. I'm going to rotate my arm a few times. You can follow the arm with your hand, with your eyes, if that feels nice for you. I have a slight bend in my knees that can help. Really good. I'm going to shimmy my shoulders a bit. And shake my arms. And then we're gonna do a slight twist. So reaching up and turning to the side, arms extended, or arms on the shoulders is another option. You don't have to go very far. Breathing in and out. Up, and we're gonna go the other way. And Claire's just looking over her shoulder. That's a really nice option. You don't have to move much to find mobility. And coming back to center. And doing this way, I'm just gonna swing my arms around my body a few times, just gently. Feeling the slight twist in my pelvis and my knees, my feet rooting to the floor. Claire's doing some lateral swinging forwards and back, just bringing a little mobilization to the joints. Remember to breathe. You can speed it up if you like. You can do bigger movements if you like, or keep it really small. Make sure that you're not holding too much in your neck or your jaw. All right, and I'm just gonna slowly let the movement come to a place of stillness. And then I'm going to pass it back to Claire, and she's going to bring us through the lower legs for a bit of stretching, and I'll continue to do some standing options.
Great. I'm going to readjust my camera so you can see my lower legs. So I'm going to be guiding some seated stretching of the lower legs just to warm up this side of the body, these muscles. Sit on a little angle so it's easier to see. Feel free to sit forward. So I'm just going to begin by bringing my hands behind me to stabilize and help me to sit up straight in my spine. And I'm just going to stretch one leg out. Just allow that to be for a moment. And then I'm going to switch. Just letting my heel plant on the ground, finding some length in my leg. I'm keeping my foot flexed. This time around, I'm going to do that a couple more times on each leg, just stretching out the leg with the toes flexed. Let's do it one more time each side, stretching out the leg. I'm keeping my weight dropping down into my sit bones, but I'm really over my center of my body as I reach out through each limb. And Alisa's showing some great options of doing some gentle lunges, which can really wake up that same muscle area of the body. Great, I'm going to do this again. I'm going to point my toe this time, if that feels accessible to you. Just finding that point in the foot, just feeling how that stretches a different part of the leg muscles. The top of the feet is where I'm really feeling it this time, rather than in the back of my calf. I'm just going to keep alternating back and forth between the legs, bringing in awareness to the front and the top of my feet, in front of my calves. And Alisa's got some great options there standing. Wonderful. I'm going to plant my feet back down. And this time, if you need to bring your feet a little closer or shift to the edge of your chair a little more, that can be helpful. I'm just going to start by curling my toes in and softening them. Curling the toes and softening them. You can do this standing as well. You can do this as small as you'd like or as big as you'd like. When I do it, I'm really pulling my feet basically off the ground except for my heels. You're welcome to keep your feet on the ground and just curl the toes. Just bring some mobilization into these little tiny joints that don't often get attention like this. You can do it slow, or you can do it really fast if you'd like. Just finding that movement. I'm going to spread my toes on the floor, starting from my pinky to my big toe, lifting them and then dropping them down. One at a time if possible. That can be pretty tricky. Just letting them come back down to the ground in a wave motion. And this can be done standing as well. If this isn't accessible for you in your feet, that is no problem at all. I would invite you to either do a bit more larger stretches of the feet so we can redo these ones, or to play with this in the hands, because they're quite similar to our feet. So just exploring the feeling of that in the hands can be a great alternative if the feet aren't accessible. Now I'm going to bring one foot up, and then I'm going to switch, just coming up onto the ball of my foot, alternating from the left to the right. Noticing how that feels in the muscles around that area. Alisa's showing a great option in the hands as a way to wake up this part of the body. And these two areas that are so similar and both require so much more attention and care than I think they may receive on a day-to-day basis for all the hard work that our feet and our hands do. Great, and now I'm going to just do some gentle circles in my ankle. Good cracking going on in mine. You can do this with your feet on the ground, or if you prefer, you can bring your foot up across your leg and do some circling in the air. I'll be guiding some of that shortly, but if that's more accessible to you right now, I invite you to do so. I'm just making sure to go both directions and the other side. Just finding some circling in the ankle and going in the other direction. Wonderful. I'm just going to put my hands on my chair to support me, or if you're standing, feel free to place a hand on an object around you if you'd like for some balance. I'm just going to shake one leg out. Really just get some shaking, noticing how does it feel to turn in the hip joint in the socket, if that feels available, or you can keep your foot on the floor and just give a little shake back and forth with the heel as a pivot point. And I'm going to switch feet. So either lifting the foot up and shaking and really getting that rotation in the hip joint, or keeping the foot on the floor and feeling that rotation in the hip joint for this alternative option. And if you're standing, you can choose to test your balance if you'd like, or you're welcome to use something to help support you as you do this movement, as Alisa is showing. Great. Now I invite you to cross one leg over. I'm just going to take a moment just to come and just give a little massage to the foot if you would like. Alternatively, you're welcome to just do some more ankle rolls, some mobilizations in the foot that we did with the feet on the ground, but in the air. It's going to be really nice. And Alisa can show some further options with that. And I'm just going to bring the thumbs of my hands to the sole of my foot. Turn around here. Yeah, so just coming to the sole of my feet and just giving my foot a little massage, just applying a little pressure there. And coming to my toes, just kind of squeezing my toes a little, just using touch to really wake up awareness in these feet. Anyone who wants to stand during this workshop, this is a great way to really bring awareness to this rooting center of the body. And I'm coming into my heel as well, just giving it a little bit of touch just to feel the awareness there. And Alisa's got a great option there if you'd like to pull the leg up with the knee and do some movement. Great. And just on the other side, crossing the leg over, coming down. You can either do some ankle circles if you'd like, or you can use the touch massage option, pushing against the bottom of the foot, coming down to the toes, bringing a little awareness. Again, if this isn't accessible for your feet, you can do the same thing on the hands. Alisa's showing some great options of a little hand massage there, and it can feel really good, especially we use our hands so much. So that's a really awesome option if you prefer. Wonderful. So once you've gotten all surfaces of the foot there, just with a little bit of touch, I invite you to let that go. Lift the hands off, place the feet back down. Take a breath in, take a breath out. Wonderful. I'm going to pass that back to Alisa to bring us into a little movement game.
Wonderful. So hopefully you feel the blood flowing a little bit. Maybe you feel a little bit looser. And we're going to play a game that Claire and I have done before with other groups called the name game. It works a little better in a larger group, but we're going to try it out in this format, just the two of us, and leave a little space for you to participate if you should wish in your own space. So basically, we're just going to take turns sharing our name and a movement that we'd like to use with our name just for today. And it can really be anything. Doesn't need to be a dance shape or a dance move, whatever comes to mind. And so we'll share the movement and then and the name, and then it'll be repeated both verbally and physically by the group. So we'll just give it a go and show you how it works. Claire, would you like to go first?
Sure, great. So, hi, my name is Claire, and today my movement is.
And then I'm going to say, hi, Claire. We can do it a few times, just see how it feels in the body. I noticed that Claire had a bit of a sound with hers.
You can also just do the upward motion without the arm if that feels better. Great. Thank you.
Great. Well, I'm going to do mine standing just to get a standing option out there, but you can always stay seated. Claire's going to do a seated option. So hi, my name is Alisa, and my movement for today is.
Wonderful. Hi, Alisa. I'll do that a few more times. I noticed that Alisa had a nice bend in the knees as she went into this movement. If you're seated, focusing on the arm movement, it'd be really nice, and a slight looking down. Wonderful. Great. So if you'd like to take a moment and say your own name and just do a movement that feels really good for you, we invite you to do so now. And we will just in silence do another movement that we feel associates to our name or to how where we are today. So we'll take a moment now.
Wonderful. I missed you, Claire.
That's okay. I did a shoulder.
Do it again.
There it is. Great.
Yeah, my shoulders are really wanting to roll today, actually. I think they're a little sore.
That's good. So to make sure to continue offering the opportunities to for everyone to get to say their name, do a movement, we're going to keep playing with this approach through a couple different objects or emotions or feelings, so we don't have to keep our name as our focus. So I am going to do a movement just about how I'm feeling today, just noticing how I'm feeling today. This is my movement. It's a stretch. There's my movement. We'll help do it together. And you can also just do this, opening up the chest and releasing it. Great.
Nice. All right, so going off of how I feel today, and sometimes it's nice to use a word too. It's not necessary. I'm going to use the word energized, and I'm going to do a little handshake with a bit of bouncing in the knees. Sometimes our movements are quite silly, and that's okay. Yeah. It brings a bit of lightness.
That's what we need. It's good to have silly movements.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Alisa. And this is a moment now for anyone that would like to do their own movement based on how they are feeling today. Yeah, Alisa and I will do another repetition in silence to give you the space to do your movement and have it reflected back. That's an important part of it, is to share it and then do it all together with yourself or with a participant that you're with, to just take a moment to really appreciate that movement. Wonderful.
And as you may have noticed, there's many variations that we often use, and that's something that you can start playing with, noticing, okay, maybe I'm kicking my leg here, but I'm also doing a bit of a lean side to side. So there's lots of ways of sort of embodying a physical state or a quality with all different types of movement capacities, and still allowing for that that witnessing and sort of mirroring, which is something that we're going to bring into practice quite soon. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Did we want to do one more version?
Sure, yeah, let's do one more version. I think we had seeing an object or a color or something in the space around you, just whatever catches your attention, and we invite you to do a movement that comes up from that. So for me, I see a tree out my window, so this is my movement.
You
can also do it really small. It's right in front of the body. Or just at the, just the torso movement as
well. Nice. All right, I see a very bright light, but close to the computer. So how does that make me feel? Kind of like a bit of a swinging forward.
And it can be interesting as well with movement to play with the speed. So this can be done slowly as well. Or like nice and quick, at least, like Alisa was showing.
Yeah, and without the arms, it could just be a bit of a folding in the spine and a bending in the knees.
Mm-hmm.
Or without the knees or the body, it could just be a raising of the hands. Yeah. Nice.
I invite you to take a moment now to see an object or something in the room and find a movement that feels good for you in that moment. Awesome.
This object is quite curly.
Wonderful. All right, I think we're good to move on to our next activity. We're going to be doing a bit of joint mobilization just to get a bit more movement going in the different joints of the body. And we'll be showing a seated and standing option as well. So you're welcome to work with whatever feels most accessible to you, energy level as well. If we're doing a bit more higher energy movement, feel free to stay with like whatever style works for you. And we're actually going to be playing a little bit of music in the background, just so that we have something to work with in the rhythm of our body. But you're welcome to turn it down lower if you don't like, or just watch us for the cues if you don't really want to be listening to the music. And we're always happy to take requests as well in the future so that we can play what you'd like to hear. So Lisa's going to start us off. Here we go.
And Claire, you can just let me know.
Yeah, that's great. Just like that.
Is that a good level?
That seems good to me.
Okay.
I'll let you know if it seems a little hard to hear during.
Okay. Great. Well, I think going off, I think I'll start with the head. So I'm just gonna do some little circles with my nose. Slowly getting a bit bigger. I'm going quite fast, so there's no need to go so fast. Might have been influenced by the music. I'm gonna switch directions. Good. And then I'm just gonna take a minute to stretch my head on each side. If that's accessible to you, you can hold it. Otherwise, just taking it to each side. A little bit of forward and back can feel nice. Okay, I'm gonna go into the shoulders. If you want to bring your full arms into it, you can. And switching just with the shoulders. And some little circles. Again, your hands can be just on your shoulders. Just noticing those tiny movements in the shoulder girdle. Letting that go. Do a little shake. And then we can actually do a bit of, I'm going to sit down for this. Bit of circling in the chest. So I'm going to lean forward, side, and come back. I'm noticing my weight moving across my sits bones as I do this. And another way. Again, these can be really small movements or a bit bigger. I'm going to pass it off to Claire to lead some standing mobilization.
Great. So I'm going to do a little bit more movement in the space for this. Just to start doing what Alisa guided, but finding some movement in my own body. How I can move my neck, my shoulders, my rib cage. My focus is on the upper body right now, but you're welcome to let it travel through your whole body. And if you're seating, then you can absolutely discover different ways to incorporate all of these joint mobilizations together. And you're also equally welcome to just still focus on just one area, one joint, or one movement that feels good. And I'm going to start to move this down into the lower half of my body, but you're welcome to stay with the upper half if you prefer. So I'm just going to start playing with the mobilization in the hip joint, opening, closing the joint here. I can just feel that movement there. And if you prefer not to work with the hips, you're welcome to do this with the shoulders. They're a very similar joint as well. Opening and closing that motion. Great. And then I'm going to come down to the knee, just straightening. This can be done on the floor as well, keeping the foot on the floor and just bending and straightening. Or seated, you can bring the leg up to the chest or sit on the ground. Just playing with the knees, bending, straightening them. Great. And then in our feet, as we've done a lot of warming up in the feet, I invite you to begin exploring, just feeling the mobilizations in the entire lower half of the body, playing either just directly with that, or how it affects the whole body. I often feel a little bit like seaweed. Just finding some fluidity. Am I breathing? Lisa's got some great options in the chair. And as always, you're welcome to just stay seated upright, playing with just one joint, just one area, just stretching. Listen to what your body's asking for today. Great, and we'll just take another minute or so, just feeling what it feels like in the body to play around with movement with this focus on the joints and how are our joints moving. The joints of the spine, the neck, hips, knees, the elbows, the hands. You can play literally just with one finger joint and see all the different ways it can move. And the thumb, exploring the different motions available in our bodies. And wherever you are, I invite you to find a stretch that feels good in your body. Take a deep breath in, stretching however feels good. And sigh it out. Letting that go. Great, and let's do that one more time. That felt really good for me. I hope it feels good for you as well. Make sure that whatever movement you get into feels good for your body. Just finding a movement or a stretch. Oh, and letting that go. Wonderful. Great, so we're gonna move on to our mirroring exercise. I'm gonna pass that to Alisa to guide us through.
Wonderful. All right, so just gonna take a second to actually switch the music here. That's right. So, okay, I have the music all queued up here. So basically, we're just gonna do what we call a little bit of mirroring, which is basically what we were doing in the name game, really, so, except nonverbal. All of it will be nonverbal, and it's a little bit of a dance party, and we're just taking turns, sort of seeing what sort of movement comes to us, and then sharing it with the room. In this case, I'm sharing it with Claire, and then she'll mirror it back, and we'll take turns sort of sharing movements and witnessing and sharing them back. And yeah, you can put a great deal of thought into it if you wish, but it can actually be quite intuitive. And sometimes there comes a point in the sharing where you don't really know who's leading. So we'll see where it brings us. And if you're with someone, you can feel free to practice this mirroring with each other. Otherwise, if you come to one of our in-person classes, you can always have a chance to try leading a bit of mirroring. But for today, we'll show you some options that you can try out. And we're going to put on a bit of fun music, and we're not going to be talking so much, so the music will be a little bit louder.
And feel free
as always. Is that too loud?
Yeah, that's good. I think that'll be good. Yes, that seems good. Maybe down one.
Okay. I think it builds a little bit.
And if you prefer to have your own music, feel free to mute us and just put on your own music and just have a dance party with us. Oh, to shake that off.
That was nice. I'll pause it before something else comes on.
Great.
That song went quite quickly.
It sure does. So that's mirroring.
Yeah.
So when we're all together, we can do it. Everyone can take turns leading if they want to. Always an option. And yeah, it can just be a fun way to all dance together. So I think it's time to start our cool down now.
Yeah, I think
Time
so.
goes by so quickly.
I'll put on, so again, we're gonna have a bit of gentle music as we cool down. Try to keep it quite faint.
Go down a little bit.
How's that?
That's great. So as we start to get settled here, I'm just going to begin to find a little gentle sway in my body. I invite you to find whatever works for yourself today in your own bodies. Just this gentle sway or gentle movement in the body. For me, that's a spinal sway, moving forward and backward. Just breathing in, breathing out. Do it side to side if that feels more comfortable. Just releasing tension and anything being held onto in the body by this softening, maybe even just in the neck or in the chest. Just a very gentle sway. I'm going to breathe in deeply and I'm going to bring my arms up and I'm going to push them overhead if that's available. I'll keep them lower down. Sighing that out, letting the arms come down to the sides. I'm going to do that a few more times, breathing in. Bringing the arms to whatever level feels good for you. Sighing that out. And once more, breathing in. And sighing it out. And I invite us all to take a moment to reach our arms out if it's available and give yourselves a hug. Just reaching the arms around whatever's comfortable. Just giving a little squeeze. Just taking a moment of appreciation for our bodies, for showing up here today, for moving. Thank you, body. Breathing. Sighing that out. And let's do the other side. Reaching out and bringing the arms around. Another option is to have it lower, just holding the elbows. I'll be showing some good options there. Whatever feels good in your body. Easing. Releasing. Just finding a little gentle shoulder movement. Letting that go. Taking the arms out. I'm just going to find a little movement in each foot. Lifting up and rotating my ankles, and you can't really see it. Just finding a little movement in your limbs, in your lower limbs. Shaking that off. I'm going to pass it off to Alisa. I'm going to do a little massage to end today.
Wonderful. So I'm going to bring us through a bit of a face massage. Feel free to focus on another area of the body if you prefer, or just do a bit of non-touch mobilization. Claire's going to share some options. I'm going to take my thumbs and bring them to my eyebrows, just above my eyes, and just draw out whatever type of pressure feels comfortable for you. Pulling outwards, out towards the temples. Whew, I'm quite sore in my head. I'm going to take my fingers and do some little circles along the temples. Making sure to keep breathing. Going downwards from there, I'm going to draw down along the cheekbones. Making sure to let the mouth hang open, not forcing it, just letting it lie naturally, and doing some little circles. Coming down all the way to the nose, pulling down along the nose a bit, and just pinching this little bit of skin here. And then we're gonna do some circles coming out from the ear, along the jaw, down to the chin. Again, letting the mouth hang open. You can do circles, or you can just pull downwards, whatever feels good for you. And pulling along the chin. And then I'm gonna take my hand behind my ear and draw down along the neck and throat gently, in a diagonal. And do the other side. Just a gentle amount of pressure. Okay, and taking my hand, I'm gonna squeeze my shoulder. Again, whatever pressure feels comfortable. If you prefer a bit of tapping, that's also an option. I'm gonna squeeze all the way down the arm. So the hand, and pull a bit along each finger. And then we're gonna do the other shoulder, going down along the arm. Breathing, tapping into the sensations in your body, listening to what it needs today. A little bit of rubbing can be a really good option as well. Kind of a slight brushing. Oh, and I think that's all we have time for today. Does that seem right, Claire?
Yeah, so I'm just going to take a moment here. Lisa, if you're able to let the music fade out, we'll just end just doing a check-in with our bodies. So just take a moment here, just coming back into the space that we're in. I invite you to look around you, see where you are, notice the light or any sounds, what it feels like in your body, the textures of what you're sitting on, your clothes, or the floor. Just noticing that for yourself. And I invite you to close your eyes or soften your gaze if that feels comfortable for you. And just begin to check in with your breath again, breathing in and out. And just notice how your body feels. I invite you to bring your awareness from the top of your head and then move it down through the shoulders and the chest. Breathing in and out, feel it move down through the spine and the torso, the rib cage, the belly. Sending this breath awareness into the hips and the lower half of the body through the legs, the knees, down to the feet, pulling into the ground, just noticing how the body feels. And I invite you to notice if there's any areas of tension, any areas of release, any areas that feel the same, any areas that feel different than the beginning of class. There's no right or wrong answer, just about bringing in this awareness and attention to really learning our body signals and sensations. So I'm noticing that my breath feels easier and my shoulders feel more relaxed. I still feel a little tension in my jaw. I feel grounded in my feet. I feel that my weight is dropping down into the floor more. I'm not holding it up with tension as much as I was in the beginning. That's just what I'm noticing in my body today. And I invite you to notice for yourself what you're feeling. Just acknowledging it. Invite us all to take a deep breath in. Breathe it out. Breathing in. Breathing out. One final breath together. Let's breathe in. And release it out on the side. That's good. I'm going to open my eyes. I invite you to look away from the screen as you bring your focus back into the space. Just looking away from brightness of the screen to see what's around you. And a little movement, and when you feel comfortable, we can come back here together to say our farewells. So thank you all so much for joining us here today. I hope that you were able to find some movement that felt good in your own bodies.
Thank you, everyone. Hopefully we'll be able to meet some of you quite soon, or maybe we already have by the time you see this. So take care, go gently into the rest of your day or evening, and yeah, we'll see you again soon. And if there's any feedback or requests, feel free to email Rachel or whoever your contact is through AHA. And have a wonderful day. Bye.